Hi there! Welcome to 60 Matthews. I'm Matthew, and today I'm modeling and designing floor plans for log cabins based on the Palmaco building kits. So over on the Living Big in a Tiny House YouTube channel, Bryce has been documenting his progress building out a log cabin for his parents using the Palmaco building kits. It's a 3-part series, but I definitely recommend checking it out. It is beautiful, and I'll leave a link down in the description so you can check that out after this video. But seeing what he's been able to do with that cottage and the relatively low cost of the Palmaco building kits, it has inspired me to build and design some of my own. I love finding new spaces to design in, and I love the modularity of the Palmaco building kits. I really love designing with modularity in mind. My first couple of redesigns of the minivan were designed to be more modular. The first design had one big unit that could kind of shift and transform depending on what you needed it to be. And then with the second redesign of the van, everything was a lot more open, so it was one general kind of space, and I could flip up a desk if I needed to, I could flip down a coffee table if I needed to, so I could transform the space and the furniture to kind of be whatever I needed it to be in that moment. Basically, I really like designing with modularity in mind. And also, one of my ultimate big goals that I've been working on for many years now is to have a kind of artist collective where I can provide both housing and a workspace for artists. It's not going to be a ton of space for a big family with kids and 3 dogs and 2 cats and a bird, but for the starving artists out there, I at least want to provide a cheap place for them to live comfortably and improve and enhance their craft. So for the sculptors, I'd like to provide a pottery wheel and a big kiln and plenty of space for all of their sculptures and pots and all that kind of stuff. For the musicians, I'd like to have a big, thick, soundproof room in the middle, as well as a control room next door. And then for the photographers and more visual artists, I'd like to provide a big open space to set up a studio, plenty of space for lighting, and maybe a big window where you could have that as a backdrop or a big source of natural light. That kind of stuff. So far I've been designing these with shipping containers because I like the idea of making one shipping container the living space and then one shipping container the working space. So one container would have the living room, the bedroom, and the kitchen, and then the other container would be the workspace and the bathroom to make more like livable square footage in the living container. I like designing with containers because it's a relatively easy challenge. It's basically just a big box and you can scale it up from there. You can fit everything you need into one container, but you can scale up and kind of build from there, almost like Lego. But I talked to a couple of architects and I've done enough research to know that building with shipping containers is a lot of times more hassle than it's worth, because the walls of a shipping container are structural. The second you slice into it, it loses all of its structural or most of its structural integrity. So you're gonna have to reinforce it, you're gonna have to build something around the shipping container, and it doesn't really do much other than being a big box of metal. So I'm not married to the idea of using shipping containers. It's just been a fun challenge and a fun way for me to create these different designs and to practice the modularity of each. So finding these Palmaco building kits has reignited my design brain to find a better solution. Palmaco has so many floor plans to choose from, everything from tiny little sheds to kind of full-blown cottages, even patios and carports and garages. I can design smaller studio and 1-bedroom like single units for people who don't require a ton of workspace, like a lot of visual artists. And then for people who do need more space, I can have 2 different units. I can have one unit that's all the living stuff, and then I can have next to it the workspace, connected by either a deck or a small walkway, whatever. But it allows me a lot more flexibility with designing different apartments and different workspaces. So for the first design, I want to use the same floor plan that Bryce used for his parents' cabin. And then I want to design another one that's a little bit bigger, but it has a floor plan that I think is just perfect. So, time to start building out that first cabin. Well, after a few hours of modeling, this is what I've come up with. It's not exactly finished because I couldn't decide on what I wanted to do in the middle. I could have put a big desk along the wall and some cabinets for storage, or I could have put a door that led to another workspace or the backyard or the rest of the grounds. I decided to leave it blank though, since I'm building with modularity in mind, and those are all alterations or additions that I could add pretty easily whenever it actually comes to building it out. For now, I just wanted to get the basics in. The kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, and Bryce had opted to leave out a bathroom in his design, but for my artists, I'm gonna have to include one of those. I knew the bathroom was gonna have to be squeezed into the corner, and I played around with a couple of different layout options where the entrance was either in the bedroom or from the outside, but ultimately I liked that I could squeeze a little closet space for the bedroom in front of the bathroom, so that's what I went with. Also, in Bryce's design, he had included a wood stove in the corner of the living room, and while I think those are pretty essential in log cabins, entrusting my tenants to keep a fire going without burning the log cabin down is a pretty big ask, so I'm gonna probably find a better option. Instead, I went with putting the TV and the entertainment system in that corner. So I'm gonna call this done because I'm really ready to get started on this next design. Both of these floor plans are called the Anna, even though they're both pretty different, but this next one has a little bit more space and it actually accounts for the bathroom in the floor plan. I really like this next design though because I think I'll be able to account for everything. The bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, and a studio wall for, photography, a big desk if you need, or an easel in the corner, however the artist wants to build out the space. This is actually a floor plan that I could see myself living in because it's not too far off from my current apartment, and I really can't wait to get started designing, so let's get to it. Okay, so I've been plugging away at the second cabin. I put on some music and I've just been focusing on modeling, and I've been so focused that I completely forgot about the bathroom. I was designing the kitchen, I was laying it all out, and I thought, man, this is so much space. And then I realized that that was because I was completely neglecting one very important room for the cabin. So now I have to work on fixing that, and then I'll get back to the rest of the floor plan. Well, here are my two cabins. I'm pretty proud of how these turned out. I could have kept going with a lot of the details, like the cabinets and the handles and the countertops and doors and windows and all that kind of stuff, but I mainly just wanted to focus on the floor plans themselves. Figuring out the dimensions of the cabinets and the counters and the bed and the couch, all that kind of stuff. And also, like I said with the first cabin, I wanted to keep everything basic so I could modify it, move stuff around, and make it more modular. And I think I did a pretty good job with these two. But you let me know how I did in the comments down below. In the future, I'll be designing more floor plans like this with the Palmaco building kits, as well as, like I've said, camper vans, shipping containers, underground homes, that kind of stuff. But that's all I have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've inspired you to do some designing or redesigning for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.